what it means by saying limitless or boundless in terms of experience, because every other experience is encapsulated within the shackles of your memory. As useful as it is, the memory, it is also a prison. It is our survival, it is also a self-imprisonment. Survival of the self and self-imprisonment, both these things are done. Memory is a wall that you have created, within which there is a whole world of your own. But memory means in some way physiological and psychological process. Your physiological process may be run by the evolutionary memory and genetic memories, your psychological process is run by a variety of other dimensions of memory, but essentially, memory means your physiology and your psychology. The biggest mistake that we have done right now in the world, especially the Western societies, the way they're looking at it is, we have misunderstood or mixed up rather psychological realities and existential realities. So this is why always we are trying to understand something. The way we are talking about India right now, the way the Indian culture or the Bharat has looked at is, it is always about realization, not about understanding. So consciousness can be realized but never understood.
Thank you for that. Along those lines, if we are shaped by our memory, if our consciousness is shaped by our memory…
No, I would like to
what
correct
can
the
we
question.
do to…
Our consciousness is not
Yes.
shaped by memory. Our conscience may be shaped by memory, because conscience is a social phenomenon.
If our memory is our prison, what can we do to get out of jail?
Before we call it a prison, we must also understand, today the way you are, your memory is also your possibility. Everything that you're doing is from your memory. A whole lot of your memory may not be conscious memory, but see, the English word conscious is used in many different ways, so there could be confusions about that. We are talking in terms of physiologically being conscious or unconscious, psychologically being conscious or unconscious. Consciousness we'll keep the word consciousness little away for the sake of understanding. Being conscious and unconscious is a different aspect. So, everything that you are, from the shape of your body, from the color of your skin, the way you understand life, the way you perceive life, everything is ruled by your memory. So it is also your possibility. At the same time, it is a limitation. You will realize the limitation of your memory only when a longing to grow beyond these limitations arises within you. See, every human being has a longing to be something more than what they are right now. But that something more is a very incremental piece. So this is why we need to fast forward our life and see right now. Little desires that you have, when you were a 8-year-old boy, maybe your greatest desire was a bicycle or something like that. Then it went on expanding. So this desiring process is a longing to expand within a human being. This longing to expand, we are going in an incremental way, by installments. Right now sit here, everything that you have desire for, let's say it's right now come true, what's next? You will desire something else, something else, something else. Just do all this right now in the next 5 minutes. Everything else that you could possibly desire till the end of your life. If all of it is done right now, what is next? Then you will see you still want to expand in an unknowing way. You still want to be something more than who you are. When this longing becomes a conscious process, then naturally you're seeking to break the limitations of what you know. This is why in yoga, the yogic culture always saw that knowledge is a limitation. We never identify with our knowledge. We always identified with our ignorance, because what I know, it doesn't matter how much I know, what I know is a minuscule in this existence. If you compare what you know to the cosmic space, it is an absolute minuscule. But what you do not know, your ignorance is boundless. So we always identify with our ignorance. The entire culture has been built upon it. This is something that has been seriously misunderstood by the rest of the world. Why India has been the way it's been, though there is an immense amount of knowledge right from ancient times, why is it they refuse to exploit knowledge? Because they saw that exploiting knowledge more and more, just using it to the extent that it is necessary for your life is different, but basing your life on the knowledge that you possess will ultimately trap you in a way that you cannot extricate yourself, that you start building, it's like a spider's web, you start building the web of your knowledge and you get trapped in it. Right now, see, whole lot of people are trapped on the internet, but we are making use of it, it's good.
So what role does knowledge play? What role does intellect play in moving forward, in shaping a planet that we want to inhabit for a long time? What role can those things that all of us use on a daily basis that we know, how can we use those things to our advantage and not be entrapped by them?
I don't know whether you use this consciously or not, but you use two words in this question which are very significant: intellect and knowledge. Because your intellect is absolutely useless if you do not have a bank of memory, which is knowledge. If you do not have any memory, if I wipe out all your memory, you will find your intellect is useless. So today we have this experience, like today you buy a new computer, maybe the best in the world, but it still doesn't have any memory in it. Well, it's just useless. So this is the nature of your intellect. Without memory, it cannot function. So right now, we are misunderstanding intellect as a means to explore new dimensions. No, you are only recycling old dimensions, endlessly recycling old dimensions, coming up with permutations and combinations and believing that you are entering new dimensions. Well, we could take examples and go into it, but it'll take time. But anyway, everything that is already there in your experience, in some way, you are trying to explore and think you have done something fantastic. I am not saying it's not fantastic, it has brought many, many possibilities into our lives. Knowledge is useful as a survival tool. Intellect is useful as a survival tool. When we say survival, maybe if we were, whatever number of years ago, we were cavemen. You are beginning to look like one, I have always been one, all right? No, the beard grows naturally on a man, but somehow it's become weird these days. Because someday it may so happen nose will be weird and everybody will remove their nose because, today the virus is there. Mask is not weird anymore, mask is normal, all right? It's a new normal. So what is our…
Depends where you are.
Today, wherever you are, mask is normal. You don't have to be a bank robber for that. So, this intellect cannot function without knowledge. That means what can it do? It can recycle the data that you already have in various permutations and combinations, but it cannot come up with anything new because its root is in its knowledge. So, what is the use of knowledge? Knowledge could enhance our physiological and psychological existence. But how much will you enhance it, I'm asking? Physiologically, if your food is taken care of, your health is taken care of, its basic needs are taken care of the body, it's a done thing. There is nothing more you can do. But today you see a weird world trying to do all kinds of things to stretch physical experiences. Why there is such a overflow of alcohol, drugs, sexuality is simply because people are trying to stretch the physiological boundary. You must understand the essence of physicality in the world is a defined boundary. Without a defined boundary, there is no physical nature. Now you're trying to breach, in your longing to expand, you're trying to breach the physical boundaries of your existence. Well, it's a wrong way to do. This is why they're telling me 30% of the people are obese on the planet, because they're trying to stretch their physical boundaries, either absolutely physically or in terms of experiences, a whole world is moving in this direction, somehow they want to stretch their experiential dimension. Right now, because their whole experience is limited to physiological and psychological experiences, they're trying to stretch that. You think you're stretching it, all you're doing is playing with the existing memory. You cannot do anything else with these two dimensions. So, when you realize the limits of your physiological and psychological existence, that is when…
So how do we, let me put it this way, is it more important to take care of the planet consciously, or is it more important first to take care of the inner journey consciously, or are they inseparable?
See, when you talk about taking care, for taking care you need knowledge, because taking care is survival. Whether you take care of this body, take care of this mental well-being, take care of your family or your society or global societies or all life on this planet, this is from knowledge. So taking care essentially means survival, isn't it? So don't link survival to consciousness. Being conscious that our life is, enmeshed with every other life on this planet is knowledge. It is not consciousness. But this knowledge could have come out of consciousness, but unfortunately this knowledge also we have acquired incrementally, very piece by piece by piece. Through scientific knowledge we pieced all this together and now we are talking about environmental science. But this is something that you could realize from your limitless sense of experience, because your experience transcended the limitations of your own genetic and evolutionary memory, and you know the way the